Hi everybody. I know it's early. This is unscheduled and unadvertised. Donna had asked me to show her how to make a baby bib. So my pattern comes in two sizes, infant and toddler. So when you print it out, it says to print 4 so that you have both sizes. What we're making is the toddler. It's larger. So I have 2 pieces of fabric. Oops, and I cut that upside down, so we're going to have to recut this because all my little puppies are going to be standing on their heads. I'm using a batting on the inside. You can use a felt or a piece of terracloth towel, something like that on the back. I'm using just a piece of fabric. So we're going to recut this puppy so he's not standing on his head. Because, see, as long as I've been doing this, I still forget to check the directional print on my fabric. So it's 2 sheets when you print it out. But like I said, print 4. That way you have both sizes. Now this comes like this. And you'll see there's a dotted line. If you're going to use it like this, you need a snap, Velcro, hook and eye, something like that, so that it could be hooked in the back. But if you fold it back like that, I'm going to use elastic because I don't have any of those snaps and things. I thought I did, but I don't. I haven't used a snap or Velcro or anything like that. Now, Velcro, if you go to buy Velcro, if that's what you want to use on these, and you know a lot of baby things have Velcro on them, make sure that you use sewable and not sticky back. If you use the sticky back Velcro, you are going to, when your needle goes down through it, it's going to get stuck in that, or your thread's going to get stuck in that adhesive on the back of the Velcro, and you're going to break thread. And it's going to gum up your needle, and you're going to have a mess. So make sure when you buy your Velcro that you don't use adhesive back. They say that the adhesive back will stick to fabric, but the only thing about that, hi y'all, the only thing about that is putting it in the dryer. And you know, bibs are going to be used once and laundered and used again and laundered. That Velcro, that sticky back is going to come off. So use the sewable if you're going to go that route. But I am using elastic. So let's cut this so that the puppies aren't standing on their heads. Now I'm cutting this with pinking shears just because they're sitting here. You can just use regular scissors. Say hi when you hop on. So I have the pattern available if anybody wants it. Like I said, it's toddler and infant. So the infant is a lot smaller, as you can see. But both sizes are going to be on both sheets when you print it. See, I thought I was already prepared, had all this cut. Good thing I saw my puppies standing on their heads before I did this, because I'd have been so mad at myself. So I'm just using a white thread, 1/4 inch foot, 1/4 inch seam. This is very, very easy to do. This is a pattern that you can adjust, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So you can fold these pieces in half and cut on a fold. And that way you cut both sides at one time. And I believe the pattern says to do that, to cut it on a fold. Okay, get all these pieces, get this out of the way. Now it says to tape it. I did not because I wanted to show you. If you wanted a longer bib, where the two pieces go together, you just pull it apart. Whoops. That much, like you want it 2 inches longer, then pull it apart 2 inches longer. When you lay it on your fabric, measure how much longer you want it, and then pin it and cut it. If you want it wider, fold your pattern piece in half. Make sure it's folded in half evenly. Lay your pattern on a fold. And if you want it 2 inches wider, fold your fabric in half, move this over your 2 inches, and then cut it out. So that's how you can alter this pattern to make it longer or wider. So we're going to put this together. So we're using just a thin quilt batting on the inside. So you want to put your right sides of your fabric together. Match everything up. And then put your quilt batting, your terry cloth. A hand towel is really good to use for this. It's almost the right size. Just line it all up. Hi, Teresa. Donna wanted to see a baby bib, so that's what we're doing. We're making a baby bib. Now, if you want this to be waterproof, in the fabric section, I think even Walmart has it, they sell a clear vinyl. It's mainly people use it for tablecloths. You can put a piece of that on the inside of your bib, and that will make your bib waterproof. You also can buy a fabric, and you can get it on Amazon. It's called Pull, P-U-L. It's a waterproof fabric. You can put that on the inside of your bib too. So what I'm doing is I'm leaving this part open, but I'm also going to leave an opening on the side. And like I tell you all the time, you got your pieces all pinned together so that I don't just sew on down through here. I'm putting a pin going the opposite direction than my other pins. That way I know I cannot sew over that. I have to stop. That just reminds me. You think all these years of sewing, I know to leave an opening, but, you know, the best laid plans, right? So we're going to sew this together. Bibs are very, very easy. I also have just a strip of fabric. It's 3 inches by, well, this one's 8 inches. We only need about 6.5 inches. And this is going to be for our Velcro, or our elastic. So we're going to make a tube out of that. So I'm going to start where I have this pin wrong. Let me trim this off. So you want to make sure that everything is the same length, because when you go to sew this and you go to turn it, you're going to have an opening where you didn't want one. Okay. Because this is a child's item, I'm using about a 1 inch. Yeah, I'm going to use a 1 inch instead of a 1/4 inch. Just because, you know, bibs get so much use. I'm just using a straight stitch. And I'm using a line on my machine. And as any curve, we're going to clip that when we turn this. So you can whip these up, Donna, really, really fast. So when we get up here to the top, we're going to stop because we're not sewing that opening closed. But like I said, you can use Velcro, you can use snaps. Right here, we're leaving this open. And back stitch. Hi Colette, we're making baby bib. See? And we'll trim that down some. So I'm going to do this corner, this curve, and I'm going to start here and stop here and then start again on that side. Because this is where we're going to put our elastic in. Whoops. I guess it's early in the morning. Let me get my crock pulled over here. There we go. So those of you who are having problem with your automatic threader, this is your last guide. Mine is a number 6. It's right at the top of the needle. This, you have a handle over here on the side, and that moves your automatic threader up and down. Before you go threading that, make sure that this little arm in the back goes into the eye of the needle. See how that just goes right in there? Then thread this. So you have this little clip here. Let me get you closer. That little clip there. So you take your thread up through there, and then you have another little guide here. It goes around there. Now mine says to take it over to the thread cutter. Before you do that, push down on your arm and it will thread your machine. Oh, say, make a liar out of me. You have to have your threader exactly even with your eye. So mine just went in there, so let me adjust that a little bit. There we go. So you have to practice with this. If this and this is not lined up exactly, you're going to have an issue. But there's a little pin on the back of this that goes right into the hole on the eye of your needle. So that has to be lined up exactly. So that might be the issue you all are having with it. See, it'll go through, but it's not lined up exactly. So you just have to keep adjusting until that little pin goes in. And don't adjust with the needle with your hand wheel until, it's like you got that there. Don't adjust your needle because you're going to snap your needle off. Because, you know, I've done that too. So, just tell you what I've done so you don't do it. So, sometimes this will go and you'll do thread your machine 100 times. And then, like today, it doesn't want to go. So, see, you get this loop behind your needle. Just pull it out. And this is when I cut my thread on the side thread cutter. So, you just have to play with it and get the little pin on this, your needle threader, lined up with the eye of your needle. Okay, let's get back to the bib. Hi, Diane. Good morning. This is unscheduled and unadvertised. Donna wanted to see me make a baby bib. So I have this pattern available. It's 2 sizes, infant and toddler. On the pattern, it says print 2, print 4. That way you have both sizes. I need to have the printer change that for me. And I didn't notice that until this morning. So see, we went all the way around the neckline. Hi, Michelle. So we're making a baby bib. So see, my pin is going the opposite direction. I know I can't sew anymore, so I'm going to back stitch and stop. Now I have my little piece that we're going to put, make a tube out of and do elastic. So we're just going to sew down one edge of this. You want to leave about a 6-inch tail on your thread, because that way it won't come unthreaded. I can't get hold of it. There we go. Whoops, no, I lost it again. It's too early for my hands to be sewing. My body is saying, no, what are you doing? Okay, there we go. And I'm back stitching about 4 or 5 stitches because we're going to be turning this tube right side. So we're just going to turn this right side. And because this is such a large tube, I'm just using my scissors. You can get a tube turner, which I didn't think to grab. So we're just gonna, you can use a straight or a safety pin, which I don't think I have sitting here either, but I do have a big needle. This is a big-eyed needle. So you just push it out. And I'm using the eye, not the point. So that way, because otherwise it would just go right through the fabric. And I'm just working that out. So when you do your elastic, you want to cut your elastic 1 inch or 2 inches shorter than you actually need it. And I'm going to, I have a teddy bear sitting here that we're going to use as our model when we get this thing done. I don't have a baby. All my grandchildren are teenagers. They're adults. So, you know, I don't think I could talk one of them into modeling for me, especially not this early in the morning. They would say, Nanny, you've lost your mind. So I'm just pushing that out. One of these days we'll get babies again in this family, but right now there aren't any. So we just made a tube. Nothing fancy. I need to clip that because that's been sewn for something. So when you go to measure your elastic, if you're doing a waist, measure your waist. But this is the same way. So I'm just taking this. Now this has no stretch to it at all because the elastic's just laying there. So you want to come back at least 1 inch or 2. See how much shorter I'm making that? Because you want your elastic to have the stretch. That's what it's made for. You want that stretch. Where's my needle at? So I'm actually going to thread my needle because I don't have a safety pin sitting here. Or I did. I don't know where it went. How come every video I lose something? Maybe if I didn't have 6 projects sitting here on my table, it would be easier. Let me get a bigger eye. And we're just going to push this through. Now see how I'm keeping that scrunched? When I get this to the end of the elastic, I'm going to put the elastic in the middle. Now you can use a lot wider elastic. I don't have any at the time. You can use, it's called waistband. And I'm going to pin that. And then we're going to pull this out. Gather that and put this elastic right in the middle. And we're going to sew both ends. And I'm just sewing the elastic. I'm not sewing the whole width of the tube, but I'm going to go back and forth over that several times to hold it. Because if anything's going to come apart on your bib, it's going to be this elastic. So see how I'm going back and forth, back and forth. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Pull all that fabric down. And I'm holding it while I take that pin out. I'm going to make sure this elastic is in the middle. And sew back and forth, just like we just did. So we just have a little bit of gather there. But when we put this in, it's going to stretch. So let's take all these pins out, clip our curves. Hi, Dorothy. We're making a baby bib. These you can whip out really, really fast. So all these, now these I'm going to just trim down a little bit on that curve. And we're going to start above the curve, and we're going to make snips all the way to our sewing line through all the layers of the fabric. That's just going to help these curves. See, I started before the curve and I ended after the curve. The bottom we don't need clip. You can just keep clipping all the way around if you want. Sometimes when you get going, it's just easier to keep going. There's our opening. This neckline, I'm clipping the whole thing. You don't want this not to lay flat. If you don't clip your curves, not even steam is going to make this fabric lay flat for you. So when we're all done, we'll iron it all out. To every curve, especially this is an inside curve, you definitely want to clip your inside curves, because you will not be happy with the way that looks if you do not clip that inside curve. So we got all our curves clipped. So I am turning it right side out, and we're going to top stitch this whole thing after we get our elastic in there. So I have this pattern available. It's 2 sizes. On the sheet, it says to print 2, print 4, because both sizes are on one pattern. So that way you got the infant, this is the toddler. And for those of you just joining, I showed at the beginning how to lengthen it and how to shorten it if you want it. So right here, it's a little tight. So we're going to push this all through. You use your scissors to do this. Be careful you don't push through your fabric, because you don't want to get all this work done and then end up with a hole in your fabric. We need to push this all the way out. And because I'm using a quilt batting, this is a little tighter right here. So if you're using terry cloth, you might want to leave the terry cloth out of the strap. So just end your terry cloth right where the strap starts. So I also in the beginning said how you can make these waterproof if you want. There's a fabric called Pul, P-U-L. I don't think that's actually the way it's pronounced because it has 2 dots above the U. But Amazon carries it. Unless you go to an exclusive fabric store, you're not going to find Pull in your fabric stores. But you can get it online. But you can also use that clear tablecloth vinyl that you can get in the fabric stores to put on the inside of this if you want to make waterproof. So Donna must not have gotten my message, or she's sleeping or not on her phone yet. So I'm just pushing this other strap out. You also can use a needle. Now this is a yarn needle, so it does not have a sharp point, but it might help pull some of this out. I'm trying not to sneeze. I hate that feeling. So I'm using the eye part of this. I'm just pulling this out. I'm not even sure why I have yarn needles. I came across these when we were moving. So just work it out. There we go. Hi, Patty. Good morning. This is an unscheduled, unadvertised video. So Donna will eventually see this. Or see my message where I tagged her in it. So this is the largest size on the pattern, but you can make it larger. So there we go. So see by clipping those curves how nice of a curve we have. So what I do is I roll my curves between my fingers, and it just works that all out. Because I don't like where there's that dip. I like my seams to be right on the edge. So you just keep rolling it and you get that nice curve. There's our opening. Now see how nice that inside is by clipping those curves. If I did not clip these curves all the way around, you would see this all puckered and there would be no way to flatten that out. So there's one of the bibs. So our strap. Now on the pattern, it calls for a snap or Velcro or something like that. But there is a dotted line. You just fold both sides back to use your strap here. So we're not going to use this whole entire thing because we're going to pleat this. So I'm just folding it over, making a pleat. I'm going to fold this back in. Let me pull some of that quilt batting out of the strap, so it's not in our way so much. So I'm going to fold this inside, just enough to shove that strap inside, just so we don't have a raw edge. I'm going to pleat this and push this inside. Now I'm pushing this inside a good inch. And just work it in there. Because once you get it started in, you can just push the rest of it right inside of there. And I'm going to pin this because I'm going to do the other side and I don't want to pull that out. I have quilt batting everywhere here. So we're just taking this and just, you can fold it in half, but I don't like that look. So what I do is I just pleat it. Just put my thumb there and just fold this right over, and you got to pleat it. To me, it looks better. But you can do it however you want. So I'm just pulling this quilt batting out and clipping it just to get it out of our way. Hi, Stephanie. How are you? Hi, Patty. So we're making baby bibs. So I say all the time, if y'all want to see something made, let me know. I'll do a video and make it for you. Donna's into making baby stuff right now, and I haven't made baby stuff for, I don't know. Let's see. The youngest is 16, so probably that many years. The youngest grandchild. So I need to start making baby stuff because I have some step-grandchildren. And then Tony has a grandchild, so I need to start making baby stuff again. What I'm doing is just pushing this down inside of here, and I'm doing it on both sides to get it even. And that way, oops, I just pulled that out. That was not smart. That's why I put the Velcro or the elastic in the middle. It just makes it a little easier. And y'all, my hands are not working, so this is not as difficult as I'm making it look. That is one thing I wish the fibromyalgia would go away, is in my hands. So I'm just shoving it down in there. And this will go right over the baby's neck. So I'm just doing right at the edge. I'm going to do some stitching. Now, when you're doing something thick like this, and your feed dogs, which is on the presser plate down here, that won't feed your fabric through, because sometimes when it's really thick, it won't. Take a scrap piece of fabric, fold it, fold it, fold it, until you have a thick piece of fabric. Put your needle in the down position, lift your presser foot up, and push your fabric that you folded right up to the back of your needle. And then put your presser foot down. What that does is level out your presser foot, and everything will feed through. And it'll just fall off the back of your machine with no problem. So if you have that problem, or if you have really slick fabric, do that with a piece of cotton, and it will help your fabric just go right over those feed dogs. Now, I do not sew over needles, because every time I do, I end up having to break or change a needle. So I'm not doing that. And I'm going to top stitch this whole thing. So I left my needle down, and I'm just going to do the whole inside of the neck. Now you can get really fancy with these bibs and put lace around them or ruffles. This is just your basic bib. This is your everyday bib. Now I back stitch there, and I'm going to stop right in the stitching where I went across to connect the strap, and I'm going right back across, and I'm going to top stitch the outside. And when I get down to where we turned it right side out, I'm going to stop and fold all of this in. And that's going to close up our seam. And I'm holding this pretty tight here, just so all of that stays laid in there. But I'm not working against my needle. So don't hold it so tight that your machine is having a problem pushing the fabric through. So a hand towel is good to use. You can use flannel, quilt batting like I used. When I use, this light is in my way. When I use the vinyl tablecloth to make this waterproof, I put it inside of my fabric. That way it's not against the baby's body. But that tablecloth vinyl, I believe, comes in 54-inch wide. So you get a lot of vinyl. And you don't use that much of it on this project. So now I'm just back stitching. And we have a baby. To clip my threads. So my model is a teddy bear. So you just slip it right over their head. There you go. You have a bib. Hi, Donna. This was for you. I sent you a message, but there's the baby bib. So it comes in 2 sizes, infant and toddler, and I showed in the video how to make it wider, how to make it longer. Oh, you must not have saw my message, Donna, but there's your baby bib. So I like the Velcro or the elastic better than I do Velcro or snaps, because the ones that I made with snaps, they're sew-on snaps. You also can get a little device, or it's not little. This one is made by Dritz. This is a snap. Get it out of there. So this you use to put snaps in. So you can use something like that. You can also get a cheaper version. I have several different versions of it. But this is called the Gripper, and it does the same thing. You put your snaps in and push it. You can get ones that you use a hammer with, 2 parts, and you use a hammer with it. So you can use Velcro, but use the sew-in Velcro and not the sticky back, because you're going to break the sticky back. You're going to break your thread, and it's going to gum up your needle, and you're going to have to stop. But there's the basic baby bib. Thank you. Thank you. So I hope this helps. Now the pattern says to print 2, Donna. Print 4, because on one pattern you have 2 sizes on each sheet. So when you print it, print 4 copies. I need to have the printer change that. But it says to print a 2, print 4 of it. So I'll get this to you. But anybody else wants it, let me know. But it's just your basic baby bib. Now, if you want to make these fancier, use plain fabric. And you can put lace around the outside of it. I would not put it on the inside because that's against the baby's neck, but you could put it on the outside. You could ruffle the outside. I mean, you can just do anything with these patterns. You can applique on here. Oh, you're welcome. So I hope this helps. If you have any problems with it, let me know. I can go back and do another one, or help you out wherever you have a problem. But there you go, front and back. But personally, I like the elastic better. God bless you all. Have a great day.